Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. As I record this video, the Jaguars are one of the better teams in the AFC. They're currently 3-1, and you may think to yourself, they're being led by their passing attack here with Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. You have this offensive-minded head coach in Liam Cohen. That hasn't been the case. The rushing attack on the offensive end is one of the best rushing attacks in football right now. But their defense has been going out there and dominating every single week. And we'll get into the offense here with Trevor Lawrence, but I want to start off with the defense and give them their flowers. The defense and the talent has always been there. You have Trayvon Walker, who you selected with the first overall pick. You paid Josh Allen a lot of money. He was an elite pass rusher a few seasons ago. And you have Tyson Campbell on the back end of this defense and Devin Lloyd at the linebacking spot. So what has been the problem? Coaching has been. You had a terrible head coach many years ago in Urban Meyer, one of the worst head coaches the NFL has ever seen. You move off him. You bring in Doug Peterson. And don't get me wrong, Doug Peterson had some good moments in Jacksonville. That first year, they make the NFL playoffs. They won a playoff game against the Chargers. The next game, they lose against Kansas City, but they played them so tough. It was so many drops in that matchup. You start off the next season 8-3. Then you start to deal with all these injuries. Trevor Lawrence had a brutal ankle injury against Cincinnati. And the season spiraled out of control. But from that point on, Doug Peterson lost his way, bringing in bad defensive coordinators, not adapting on the offensive end. And the talent has always been there, young talent at that. So now you bring in a brand new coaching staff. You have Coach Anthony, a tremendous defensive coordinator. Last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive unit, they only had 9 takeaways. That was dead last in the NFL. Through 4 games this season, you have 9 interceptions and 4 forced fumbles that you have recovered. That's 13 takeaways. They're on pace to break the record if they stay with this game plan right now. They can continue to go out there and force turnovers every single week. And the pass rushers have been tremendous. Trayvon Walker, first overall pick out of Georgia. When they first drafted him, a lot of people, they were scratching their heads. They're saying that they selected him over Aiden Hutchinson, who was a beast out of Michigan. Then Aiden Hutchinson had that phenomenal rookie season. He was amazing in year 2. While Trayvon Walker was not going out there being that dominant pass rusher early on, he was making plays on the edge by going out there and stopping the run, sealing the edge, being a quarterback spy, flipping his hips back into coverage. And that was just his rookie season. Since his rookie season, he's become one of the best pass rushers on this roster, playing opposite side of Josh Allen. And he's worked on that because of his motor. The work ethic has always been there with Trayvon Walker. And you look at him this season, the way that Coach Anthony is moving him around, primarily over the last few years, they have basically used this man as just purely an edge rusher. They'll have him rush from the inside now on different formations and different twists and different stunts. And what it causes is basically this. A quarterback, he can't step up inside the pocket. This is what CJ ran into with the Houston Texans. He tried to step up inside the pocket. He couldn't. Trayvon Walker is bulldozing the center and the guard because he's so fast, they just can't keep up with him. And he's so strong, he's pushing them back into the quarterback. So CJ tries to escape on the opposite side. Here comes Josh Allen. And you can say that they have one of the worst offensive lines in football. That is true. But they're taking advantage of those matchups. This is something that we did not see over the last 2 years in Jacksonville. And it's amazing to see him move around these pass rushers. And he'll do the same thing with Josh Allen. Look at what this defense did against the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers just had an amazing win over the Los Angeles Rams. We'll give them that. They deserve that win. They deserve the praise. But let's not forget what the Jaguars defense did to Brock Purdy and crew. They forced him to have 3 turnovers in that matchup, 2 interceptions and a forced fumble. And one of the interceptions came from pass rush. He realized the pocket is collapsing. I can't escape. I'm just going to throw the football away. His arm gets tipped. It goes for an interception. Those are playmaking plays that you look for in your front 7. Then you have Eric Armstead, who has been a tremendous defensive tackle. I'm not saying that he's going to be a top defensive tackle. He's going to be a top 5 name to look out for. But in terms of stopping the run and going back there and pushing the pocket, he's been tremendous. He's the man that forced a fumble on Brock Purdy, and they won that matchup 26-21. And if we're being real here, the Jaguars should be 4-0. That loss against the Cincinnati Bengals, it came down to a dumb penalty late in the game on pass interference. They don't get that call. We're talking about a different situation here in Jacksonville. but this defense is legit. And I love to see their pass rushers move around. And I know that Travon Walker is dealing with a wrist injury right now. He's on pace to play this Monday night against Kansas City. The kid is tough as nails, and I'm happy to see his career pan out the way that it is right now. But having Eric Armstead, the same with Travon Walker, Josh Allen, that's a very good front seven. And you have Devon Hamilton. Don't sleep on him. He's a very good run stopper. Behind those players, you have Olakon, who's been a tremendous linebacker, 15 solo tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception. He's a do-it-all linebacker. You can send him in on certain blitzes. He can keep up with quarterbacks in a spy. He can cover tight ends. He can cover running backs out of the backfield, and we're seeing it right now. But playing alongside him is Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd has been lights out this season in pass coverage. He has 3 interceptions and 12 solo tackles. And this is the one thing with Devin Lloyd. He's been Mr. Consistent with this defense since they drafted him. He's been a very good player, productive. He's slept on. Very underrated player. He's just like Travon Walker, in my opinion. They deserve more praise at their position. They just do everything well. And the motor never dies. We've seen this with Travon Walker and Devin Lloyd. They may be down by 2 or 3 possessions. They may be getting blown out. They're still out there and they're still trying to make plays. They're tracking down the quarterback in open space. They're tracking down the running back, trying to make the running back fumble. That is what you look for. And players, those are great intangibles that you want to see out of young players at that. And the secondary here, whenever you have a front seven that can move around and they can rush the passer, they can cover guys in space, it's going to help out your secondary. But Tyson Campbell has always been a good cornerback. Now, he's not the same Tyson Campbell that he was his rookie season. Injuries have held him back. And that's the one thing here with Tyson Campbell. He has dealt with some injuries. But when he's on the field, he's fully healthy. He's one of the better man-to-man corners in the AFC. And we're seeing it right now this season. Now, he's not the best player that they have in their secondary, but he's Mr. Consistent. Having him outside on an island, that's tremendous to see. But inside that cornerback room, you brought in a veteran in Jordan Lewis. This has been one of the best signings this year in free agency so far. Jordan Lewis, in terms of blitzing off the edge, tackling running backs, putting pressure on the quarterback, and just covering in general, he's been a superstar in Jacksonville. And I'm not just throwing that word around. Look at the way that he's playing. 2 interceptions, 6 pass deflections, 13 solo tackles. And I'm not surprised by this because he was a very good corner with the Dallas Cowboys. But that veteranship is showing right now and is helping out the rest of the secondary. Now, one problem the Jaguars did have last year outside of bad defensive play calling, the safety room was not the best. They could not make plays in space. They gave up a lot of deep passes over and over again at the safety position. The safety play has been better this year with Andrew, and the same with Eric Murray. And right now he is dealing with an injury, but he's expected to be okay. They're not one of the best safety duos in football, but they're better than what they had last year. You had one of the worst safety rooms in the league last year. And now those guys are going out there, they're playing their roles on the back end. And you're not going to get many chances to throw the deep ball against this front seven. And one more thing that I want to bring up before I get to the offense here. Travon Walker, just give him some more praise here. And I've seen it. With scrambling quarterbacks in the AFC, when you have Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens, Justin Herbert, Chargers, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City, he's able to go out there, flip his hips, and just have contained coverage on the outside. You don't see that from many edge rushers in today's game. Now, TJ Watt can do this, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, those players can do that. But you don't see too many players that can immediately go from being just get to the quarterback in terms of just going out there and stopping the quarterback and flip your hips. That's the athleticism that he has. Just tremendous defensive play calls here so far with the Jaguars, and I'm proud to see them be one of the better defensive units as I record this video. Now, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter has been a very interesting player because coming out of Colorado, people were saying that he could be this generational talent. He can play cornerback. He can play wide receiver. Right now, Travis Hunter, in my opinion, should be more so of a wide receiver than a cornerback. The defense is playing lights out right now. They don't need his help on the defensive end unless an injury happens. And let's knock on wood and hope that that doesn't happen. But if an injury does happen, you sub in Travis Hunter. I think that he'll be a very good cornerback. But Travis Hunter should primarily be a wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has that ability to go out there and take the top off the defense. He can make tough catches across the middle of the field over and over again. And that was the case at Colorado. Tremendous corner, made some phenomenal plays at the college level. But the plays I were able to see him make at wide receiver were just ridiculous. The route running is crisp. He just needs to focus on one end of the football over the other. Just let him be that wide receiver right now. And when you're a wide receiver, you focus on catching. If something does happen in that secondary room, one of those cornerbacks go down, you sub him in. The ball catching skills are already there. So that's why primarily he should be a wide receiver and have him play alongside Brian Thomas Jr. because right now, passing wise, Trevor Lawrence, he's having some problems. Now let's talk about the complete offense here. Travis Etienne has found his groove in this system with Liam Cohen. Once again, I'm not surprised by this. Liam Cohen is a tremendous offensive coach. Look at the work that he did last year with Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They did draft Graham Barton in the first round. He's one of the best centers in the NFC, and he's only in year number 2. The reason why I bring him up, they had a center, and Ron Jensen, he went down with a torn ACL, was never the same player. He is now retired. The run game was non-existent for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last year, they were top 5 in rushing, and we're seeing this happen again with the Jaguars. Last year, Travis Etienne had the worst year of his career, 3.7 yards a carry, 2 rushing touchdowns, only 558 rushing yards. He was in the doghouse with Doug Peterson. Tank Bigsby looked like the better runner, and Travis Etienne was dealing with injuries last year. But they traded Tank Bigsby a couple weeks ago to the Philadelphia Eagles. You look at Travis Etienne right now. He's averaging 6.1 yards a carry, 394 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and they're giving him the football out of the backfield as a wide receiver. This is how he looked at Clemson. Him and Trevor Lawrence were teammates. And whenever he needed a play, a check down route, when everyone else is getting covered at Clemson, who did he go to? Travis Etienne. That has been the case here with Liam Cohen and their brand new offensive coordinator and Grant Udinski, who is one of the youngest coaches in the league right now. But Travis Etienne, tremendous. And the offensive line and blocking, they've been tremendous. Getting a hat on a hat and just having misdirection over and over again. And Bashal Tootin, I think long term, when Travis Etienne does this, when he does slow down, it's the running back position. It's not the longest shelf life in the league. If Travis Etienne does slow down as the season goes on, or just over the next few years, Bashal Tootin, he will be that guy in the backfield, and we're seeing it right now. But having both of those players give Trevor Lawrence a consistent run game is amazing to see. And we've seen Trevor Lawrence have a consistent run game in the past, but it wasn't this explosive. Travis Etienne, 2023, 1,008 rushing yards, 4 yards a carry, 11 rushing touchdowns. 2022, he had over 1,100 rushing yards, averaged 5 yards a carry, 5 rushing touchdowns. So we've seen Trevor Lawrence have the ability to go out there and work off of play action. But just having more structure around Trevor Lawrence and using more motion, hopefully it'll help bring out the best in Trevor Lawrence in this system. And I do feel for Trevor Lawrence. This is yet a brand new coaching staff. In year 1, Urban Meyer. Then you had Doug Peterson, like I mentioned before. That first year with Doug Peterson, that has been the best football that Trevor Lawrence has played up to this point in his career. Now, he did have a 6-game streak to where he had an interception in a match, in every single matchup. But against the 49ers last week, he did not have an interception. That's great to see. Trevor Lawrence is still missing a lot of throws. In certain situations, he's not seeing the field clearly. Then when he does rip the football up the seam to where a safety rotates over to a player like Brian Thomas Jr. or the same with Travis Hunter, they drop the football. They have to be on the same page. And they have to come away with the football when Trevor Lawrence gives you a dime. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, since they drafted Trevor Lawrence with the first overall pick, they have been top 3 in drops in the NFL with different coaching staffs, which is ridiculous up to this point. It's not all on Trevor Lawrence, but they're going to need more out of him moving forward. And he hasn't played bad. I don't want anyone to take that out of context like Trevor Lawrence is getting carried right now by the rushing attack and the defense. Trevor Lawrence, on certain drives, they're asking him to go out there and make some big-time throws to Brian Thomas Jr., and he's done that. The same with Parker Washington inside the slot position. He's made some of those plays. But when you look at the numbers here, and it's not always about stats, against the Carolina Panthers, only 178 passing yards, but your defense, they led the way. Your run game did. Be that game manager. I don't mind that. Against the Cincinnati Bengals, I have a problem here. 3 passing touchdowns, tremendous, 2 interceptions. They need those interceptions to die down. That is why against the 49ers, he played clean football, efficient. That is what you look for. But he has to have that ability to go out there and have 30 plus pass attempts in the matchup and not have those dumb turnovers. Turnovers have been a problem with Trevor Lawrence in his career. Once again, it's not all on Trevor Lawrence. Bad offensive line protection, drops that'll go for an interception. But some of the interceptions that he throws at this point in his career, it just makes you scratch your head and say, just a couple drives ago, I saw you deliver a dime off your back foot to Brian Thomas Jr. You see that he's in double coverage and you force the football there anyway. He just needs to be more consistent. But against the Bengals, this loss, even though he had 2 interceptions in this game, it did not come down to Trevor Lawrence. It came down to a dumb penalty. The drops and the penalties, they're going to hurt this team if they cannot figure that out in the foreseeable future. They had 11 penalties in week 1 against Carolina. You still won that matchup. 6 penalties against the Cincinnati Bengals and a crucial penalty late in the game. You lost that matchup. 9 penalties against the Houston Texans. You won that game. 12 penalties against the San Francisco 49ers. I love me some Liam Cohen. Come on, man. You got to go out there and you got to figure this thing out. You can't be having penalties like this early on in the season. That means that you're coaching this in practice. You're coaching this in training camp. And the players, they do have to be held up to the same standard. But a lot of penalties have been on the coaching staff. They have to be better here. But Trevor Lawrence, he's playing fine right now, and I believe that he will continue to go through his progressions, and he will play better in this system with Liam Cohen. Baker Mayfield had a lot of interceptions last year with Liam Cohen. Brian Thomas Jr. hasn't been the same wide receiver this season that he was last year, but the talent is still there. When you need a big play, you go to Brian Thomas Jr. That is what happened against the Houston Texans. They needed a big play late in the game. They went to Brian Thomas Jr. And I mentioned before, Travis Hunter, just let this man primarily be the wide receiver. Let him be wide receiver 2 next to Brian Thomas. Parker Washington had a phenomenal special teams play against the San Francisco 49ers. So he has that explosive ability. And Parker Washington was a very solid wide receiver last year in Jacksonville when they were dealing with all those injuries. You have De'Amon Brown, who you brought over from the Washington Commanders. Trevor Lawrence has a very good relationship with him because he's a deep threat. Trevor Lawrence still has one of the best deep balls in the game. And you have Brendan Strange at the tight end position. So I'll say this right now. The offense, passing-wise, they're a work in progress. But you have that dominant rushing attack with ETN. 4th in rushing offense. 4th in rushing defense. That run game and this rushing defense and the defense as a whole, this will possibly get this team to the NFL playoffs. And I look at this division. The Houston Texans, they only have 1 win as I record this video. The Tennessee Titans, as long as they have Coach Callahan as a head coach, those are easy wins. That's not a knack on the players there. He's just a terrible head coach. As long as he's in this division, if you're a Jaguars fan, you should hope that he continues to be the head coach for many years with the Tennessee Titans. Those are going to be easy wins for the Jags here. You already beat the Houston Texans. Your toughest competition in this division is the Indianapolis Colts with Daniel Jones. As I speak right now, as I record this video, that can change. But with the talent that the Jaguars have and the coaching with Liam Cohen, I can see them winning this division, and I can see them being a massive headache for any team to deal with in the AFC. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.